It looked like almost feral animals. It was terrible.
16 children, a filthy house, and a secret investigation. We're learning more about the Ciders family in Ohio, the children who were found in the home, and what family members of the mother of the children are saying after the arrest. Plus, the attorney for one of the family members is here.
We don't have all of the evidence. We don't have anything that's showing that these kids were locked in a basement or anything of that nature. This is not what people are trying to portray.
Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. It's been nearly a week since sheriff's deputies and state agents went into a home in rural Ohio to execute a search warrant and found 16 children in a room that was described as filthy. Those 16 children are the daughters and sons of Gary Lee Ciders Jr. and
livestock are kept better than these children. That's what the sheriff said. And that quote became the headline. But the defense attorney, representing the grandfather in this case, has a different word for what happened that day. He's calling it criminalizing poverty. This is the case of the Ciders family, and the narrative is colliding with the legal reality. Before we go deeper into what the documents actually show, make sure you're subscribed to Project Cold Case. Because we don't just cover the story, we follow the evidence. The police came to that house and they saw the outside. They described a home so filthy they said it looked like a scene unfit for animals. The sheriff told reporters that children were living in a room caked in feces with flies on their skin. And he said some of them couldn't even speak.
Foster homes. The home on Omer Street is roped off by crime scene tape to keep people out. The sheriff isn't commenting on what crime law enforcement was investigating when they went to the home on June 30th to execute that search warrant, and the documents related to it are sealed. It's only been referred to as a parallel investigation. But there are a lot of questions about how a family of four could keep.
That is the image that was planted in the public mind, the worst-case scenario of abuse and neglect. But then, the attorney looked at the criminal complaint and he saw something else. He saw a difference between what was said in the press and what the law could actually prove. Because the law isn't interested in housekeeping. A messy home is not a crime. A poverty-stricken family is not a crime. The felony child endangerment charge requires a specific standard that the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The attorney put it bluntly. He believes that the authorities are trying to criminalize poverty.
The couple had a child a short time later on May 30th, 2008. Now, you might be wondering, why would Elizabeth and Gary Jr. go to West Virginia to get married? Well, in Ohio, you have to be 18 to get married. You can be 17, but you have to have parental consent and then meet a bunch of other strict guidelines, jump through a lot of hoops. Elizabeth Ciders was 15 when she married Gary Ciders Jr. Court records show that Elizabeth Ciders was pregnant nearly every year from 2008 through 2025. She had children.
Now look at the reality. This is a family that moved from county to county, dodging children's services to keep their kids. The mother was 15 when she married her husband.
Law enforcement said the Ciders moved from county to county and even spent time in Wisconsin. And I've learned that Children's Services may have visited the family in one Ohio county, but then the Ciders moved, I'm told, to keep the children from being taken away from them. The Ciders, according to the sheriff, have lived in the house on Omer Street in Vinton County for the last 4 years. Elizabeth Ciders.
She gave birth nearly every year from 2008 to 2025. And when the police raided the property, they found the older kids had social media accounts.
Wrote, "Happy birthday to my daughter Elizabeth. It's hard to believe my youngest is 28 today. Love you, Mom and Dad." The photo she posted of Elizabeth shows her with much lighter hair, and she looks healthier. We don't know the date that photo was taken. Another family member posted these photos of Elizabeth, claiming she took them when Elizabeth was 13. That was the last time that family member said that she actually saw Elizabeth. Now, this raises a lot of questions. How was a 15-year-old girl able to run off with a guy who's 3 years older than she is?
She gave birth nearly every year from 2008 to 2025. And when the police raided the property, they found the older kids had social media accounts.
All four Ciders face second-degree felony child endangering charges, including the grandparents, Gary Ciders Sr. and Christina Ciders. They've pleaded not guilty to the charges. When the arrests were made last...
They had phones. they were posting online. So you have to ask yourself if these children were truly imprisoned like animals in a cage with no contact with the outside world. How were they managing a Facebook page?
While the parents and grandparents of the children are in jail facing serious felony charges, Gary Ciders Jr. also faces 4 misdemeanor counts of public indecency. Court records state that Gary Ciders Jr. did recklessly expose his private.
The sheriff says they couldn't read or write, yet there were messages online between the teenagers and other people. The picture doesn't fit.
Yes, I will enter a not guilty plea for you at this time then, and you can confer with counsel. Okay? Mr. Ciders, would you like me to enter a not guilty plea for you as well? Until you have the chance to speak with an attorney? I will do that.
So let's turn now to Dorian Baum. He is an attorney representing Gary Ciders Sr., that is the grandfather in this family. Dorian, thanks so much.
That is where the criminalizing poverty argument comes from. The defense is betting that a jury is going to look at an impoverished family living in dirty conditions and see a tragedy, but they won't necessarily see a crime. And then there is the grandfather. He was in a wheelchair in court.
To meet with Mr. Ciders will be tomorrow, so my intent is to get down there and see him as soon as possible tomorrow.
Your client, along with his family members, is facing, 16 felony counts, second-degree felonies of child endangering. It's been described as a really awful place.
He has hearing problems. The attorney is already looking at his mental competence just to stand trial. It is a long way from feral animals to a courtroom where the state has to prove their case. The attorney is saying that the authorities went in with guns and made a spectacle, but now they have to follow through with evidence. He says we don't have all the evidence. We don't have anything showing these kids were locked in a basement.
For coming on. You haven't met with your client yet. Tell me a little bit about why, and have you even been able to speak with Gary Ciders Sr. on the phone?
Yeah, thanks. Again, thanks for having me. So, unfortunately, because of the holiday weekend, the jail was actually not permitting people to come in and visit with inmates. That includes attorneys. So the first opportunity, and that actually includes today as well. So, unfortunately, the first opportunity we'll have
and he was in a wheelchair. Do you know anything about your client, about his physical state, his health, his mental state?
Frankly, I've seen what you've seen, which is I saw it appears that he has limited mobility. My understanding is that he had difficulty hearing. It also seemed that he had difficulty understanding the judge. So I have some of the same concerns that anyone else might have looking at a person whose competence might be in question. As anyone who knows anything about the law knows, the very first step is to ensure that your client is competent. You can't move forward otherwise. So one of the basic tenets of my criminal defense of Mr. Ciders is going to make sure that he's competent to even stand trial, let alone any of the other defenses we might raise. So I guess the short answer is no, I haven't been able to talk to him yet. I don't know anything other than what everyone else has seen, which is what happened at the arraignment, what took place there, et cetera, et cetera.
Tommy Stolley, the attorney for Elizabeth Ciders, I saw him in an interview, and he said that her first question was, where are my kids? She wanted to know where her children were. It wasn't how much time am I facing or anything like that. Have you had any discussions with the other attorneys in this case regarding their clients and their reactions to this?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some, again, brief initial discussions with the other attorneys. At this point, it's obviously we are all representing the individual interests of our individual clients, but they are a family, so right. It's my gut feeling that in many cases their interests will overlap. So I have had some discussions with the other attorneys, specifically again about some of that very preliminary discovery that we've all received and what our general thoughts are. I sort of make it a point not to talk to other attorneys about their client-attorney conversations, as that is, of course, privileged information and confidential. But it's not surprising to me that a mother would ask about the condition of her children, bearing in mind that, these are people minding their own business, and a litany of officers come rushing in with guns and arrest them, don't let them, check on their kids first, I can imagine someone like that being concerned about their children.
Gary Ciders Jr., your client's son, faces 4 counts of public indecency. He's accused of exposing himself at the house to people who were not his family. We know about that, but law enforcement has been tight-lipped about what initially brought them to that house, the search warrant that was being executed. Those documents are sealed. Do you know anything about this parallel investigation that brought Ohio BCI and the Sheriff's Department to the Ciders home?
Unfortunately, I don't. And as you sort of alluded to, it would seem pretty odd for a couple of misdemeanor counts of indecent exposure to generate the type of response that happened at this house. I would also be very interested to see what this search warrant said, what the basis for the search warrant was, how they were able to obtain such a search warrant, because I have a hard time believing, first of all, if all it was an arrest warrant, then none of this could have happened. So clearly it wasn't just those charges, because if it were, they would have a simple arrest warrant. They would ask for Mr. Ciders Jr. to come out, and that would have been the end of it. So obviously there was more there. I'm sure that I and all of my other colleagues who are representing the co-defendants will all be very interested to see what the basis for the search warrant was.
Mm-hmm. So your next step, obviously, is to go to the jail in Southeast Ohio, meet with Gary Ciders Sr., and meet your client and talk to him and see what he has to say.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the first step, again, is ensuring that he is competent. That's going to be a concern just based on what I myself have been able to view in the public, and same thing the public has seen. And then make sure I explain to him the process, the procedure. I don't really know what Mr. Ciders' criminal history is like, or what involvement he's had with the court system. So after I determine he is competent, if in fact he is, which again, that is a question at this point, but if I'm able to determine that he is competent, and even if he's not, my best attempt is going to be to explain the process, the procedure, what the next steps are. And again, as we sort of talked about earlier, the state's burden to go before a grand jury and bring some sort of evidence to attempt to get an indictment.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We're as interested as you are. We might be more interested, but we're interested to learn what the basis for the search warrant was, why they went in there, the actual condition of the children, and much more. Dorian Baum, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your